So, what I want to, oh, shh. Take two. Whether we like it or not, I think we're all in showbiz these days. And I think that's a good thing for our profession, because what it's done is it's taken us away from our reliance on text on PowerPoint. But the question we want to ask ourselves is, are we ready for that close-up? A lot of you know this. A long time ago, I was a comedian. I flew in a couple of days ago, and boy, are my arms tired. I said, boy, is this the thing on? You know, with social and digital media, it's always on. And we need to be able to have amazing, compelling, wonderful, entertaining, humorous, exciting stories that we can share on behalf of our clients. Because really, when you think of it, everything we say and do now is amplified because of social and digital media. And it's really easy for us to get lost and not to remember that we have to just keep that a photo of someone licking tortillas can get spread, and that's not necessarily the thing you want to have. This is not a photo product placement for cigarettes. Marshall McLuhan, who all of you know, who I found out really about from Annie Hall, says this, and I'm going to bastardize it a little bit, but I think what he's trying to say is we need to adapt our stories, our messages to the media we're using, and everything is really topsy-turvy these days, because we get our news from comedians. I mean, how do you pitch Stephen Colbert on a news story? A site like BuzzFeed, which is one that has a lot of really interesting miscellaneous stuff, they now have seminars in how to pitch themselves. But this goes back, you know, this news and humor isn't new. If you watched Johnny Carson a long time ago, you didn't have to watch nightly news because his monologue told you what was going on. It goes back even further to the Smothers Brothers, who were banned from doing, or stopped from doing political humor. So we need to think about, you know, what we can do to make ourselves a little bit more maybe like advertising, like our friends in advertising, because they really do think of themselves as creative. We say showbiz, maybe it's faux-biz, but they do have an idea of how to add a little bit of sizzle to the story. The question is, what do they think of us? You know, what do people in advertising think of PR? And if you watched Mad Men, there was an episode a few years ago where Richard Nixon was on. There was an ad for Richard Nixon running for president, and it was really dull and boring. And Don Draper said, oh, it must have been created by the PR guys because it was just so on message. And really, I think they may have a point. Because with all due respect to CASA systems and the highest CCAP density available, and we are all, hopefully the person who wrote that isn't in this room, and we're all guilty of that. Whether it's a B2B or a B2C audience, we need to figure out how to tell stories that matter, that mean something, that resonate to people. So who's doing a good thing now? Oreos. You all saw this on the Super Bowl. It was like real-life marketing. Deb Weinstein, who's here, she started out as an entertainment reporter on TV, and she really takes that approach. She worked on Oreos in Canada and had a giant Oreo at the Eaton Center that just became a shareable object. Someone else who's doing a great job on this is General Electric. And in yesterday's session on photography, you guys learned how to look at the world visually from a different perspective. And that's something GE is doing. I mean, look at these shots of machinery that are on Instagram that have thousands and thousands of followers and that are shared all the time. Taking us from there up to space, Chris Hadfield, the commander of the space station, on his way back down to Earth. Just before he did it, he recorded David Bowie's Space Oddity. He actually played guitar, did a great music video there. I'd encourage you to watch that. And again, just thinking about how we all have to tell stories with a little bit more pizzazz. Back down to Earth, we have Steve Cody, who was going to be here today. Let's have a big hand for Steve, who has embedded the Peppercom comedy experience across his agency and has tried to get his staff and his clients to use comedy for better communications. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Daryl Salerno. Product placement. Daryl is presenting again after this, and he's the only person who knows how to take Excel and put the excellent in it. Very entertaining way of showing, you know, how to manage budgets. So what can we do to get better at telling stories? What are the things we can do? Well, I think the first thing we need to do is learn to juggle. And I mean that literally and figuratively. I'm up to 2 balls now. And what I mean is get out of your comfort zone and do something different. So if you've never shot a video on your smartphone, shoot one, but then edit it and try to upload it to YouTube and figure out how to tell a good story that way. Join the circus, and I don't mean it in the P.T. Barnum sort of way, but what I do mean is getting back to the notion that things are a show. What we do needs to entertain and excite and engage people, so figure out how to do that, but really stop thinking of things as just one product launch. We need to, as Lee Auden says, think series, not one-off. So how do your stories develop over time? How do you create a series that engages and excites and that gets people wanting to share your content and wanting to spread your story and become ambassadors and advocates? Video, we all know that video is the ultimate social object, but just because video is so great doesn't mean we can't forget some of the other things. So think about a live event as theater. Think about an ebook as having a narrative. Think about how to do, a great photo story for your clients. So really what I say is learn something new, add a bit of sizzle, pitch a series, but it doesn't have to be video, and then get out there and put on a show. Okay, roll credits. I said roll credits. Thank you very much.